Hi, Ed here from keywordspeopleuse.com, and I've got an exclusive time-limited offer for you. If you book a product demo with Keywords People Use, I'll give you a free 7-day trial of our standard plan, which allows you access to our new content optimization tool. This tool hooks into your Google Search Console data so we can find all the keywords you're ranking for and what pages are ranking. We then crawl your site content and use advanced machine learning techniques like embeddings and cosine similarity to find you content optimization opportunities that will quickly boost your impressions and clicks from Google. This new feature in Keywords People Use is already showing results for people using it. Don't miss out on the opportunity of a 7-day free trial. Just go to keywordspeopleuse.com/demo to book your slot. That's keywordspeopleuse.com/demo. You'll find the link in the show notes of this episode. Hello and welcome to SEO is Not That Hard. I'm your host Ed Dawson, the founder of the SEO intelligence platform keywordspeopleuse.com, where we help you discover the questions people ask online and then how to optimize your content to build traffic and authority. I've been in SEO and online marketing for over 20 years, and I'm here to share the wealth of knowledge, hints and tips I've amassed over that time. Hello and welcome back to SEO is Not That Hard. It's me here, Ed Dawson, hosting as usual, and today we're really unlocking the secrets of topical authority with a guy called Matt Tomkins from Tailor Digital Marketing. Now, Matt's a top-tier SEO expert. He's got over a decade of experience, and he's here to reveal how you can build content hubs that answer every question your audience might have. And this will transform your website into an organic lead generation machine. And in this episode, we'll explore how a law firm turned a niche topic like auction packs into an evergreen source of quality leads, the ins and outs of competitor research and keyword clustering, and even how to harness remarketing strategies to convert that hard-earned traffic. Plus, we're going to touch on the role of AI in SEO, what works, what doesn't, and why human insight still reigns supreme. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just getting started in SEO, this conversation is packed, hopefully, with actionable insights that will help you sort of really dominate your niche. So yeah, let's see how we go on. So welcome, Matt. This is Matt Tomkin. He is a real top SEO expert, someone I've known for a while. I've met him in person. And will you give a quick intro, Matt, just so you know what company you work for, the company you set up, and then we'll get into topical authority.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. So my company is Tailor Digital Marketing. We've been around 9 years in May, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. We're predominantly a search marketing agency, and I've been working on SEO for, 10, 12 years, something like that. So previous businesses before that is where I got the interest in SEO and everything data, I guess. And those were telecoms and sportswear, believe it or not.
Right. Yeah. What interesting. Yeah.
So different ones.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Telecoms and sportswear. There's not a lot of commonality between them, but obviously it worked out somehow.
Yeah.
So I've really got you on to talk about topical authority. I'm a big believer in topical authority, having seen it work with my sites over many years, like broadband.co.uk and others. And I saw you talking on LinkedIn about the importance of building topical authority and how to do it. So really, I mean, if you were to come to someone and say, right, they didn't understand what topical authority was, how would you describe it?
I think the best way to describe it is so important to cover everything possible that your potential client or prospect is going to ask or going to want to know to be able to buy your service or buy the product that you're trying to market. I think what's really important is looking at link building and topical authority. And I think they're sort of both the same thing in my mind. You know, if you've not got the budget to go out there and use some of the really high-end link acquisition tactics, then the next best thing, if you will, is to create as much content as you physically can that answers every single question that your user is going to put into Google. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a strong believer in that. That's why we've got Keywords People Use, which is all around finding all those questions that people ask. So some people, I've heard some people be a little bit negative about topical authority and say there's no such thing as topical authority. I mean, have you got any experience that you can share? Like, and I'm not saying share like exact URLs or clients that you've done, but have you got the type of clients you've worked for and the kind of tactics that you've put in place to build topical authority and the kind of results they've had?
So we work with a lot of professional service-based businesses. So regulated industries, insurance brokers, legal firms, mortgage brokers, those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
And what we find is that when we create a real content hub around a service that they offer, and when I say a real content hub, like, it can be ridiculous. Like, we worked with one law firm recently where one of their main services was auction packs. So when you go to auction, you don't have to read the legal pack, but it's a good idea to read that legal pack and understand exactly what you're buying, what might be the issues, whether it's lease, holding, all those sorts of things, how long the lease is. And they wanted to generate more leads for that particular division of the business. But there wasn't a huge amount of appetite for paid. I think they tried paid in the past, and whoever had been doing it for them hadn't necessarily nailed it. And their head of the division had come from another law firm that were generating all their leads online, and the majority were coming from organic search. So the first thing we did was actually looked at what content they had on their website, and it was very minimal. So when we're talking auction pack reviews, it is very niche.
Very, very niche.
But actually, that makes it even better for a topical content hub, because if you spend the time to research, all the different things and all the questions that someone can be putting into Google around an auction pack, what is the legalities of an auction pack? What are they, first of all? How much do they cost? Do I have to have one before I go to an auction house? And what we did is we created about 30 different pieces of content around auction packs. Fairly boring day of research. However, to finally produce that and it was live, that is pretty much an evergreen lead generation machine for those guys. And the reason I say that is that when you're building a content hub like that, and no one else will bother to do, or most people won't bother to create 30 pieces of content around an auction pack. It's niche. We're going to win anyway. But what it does is it creates that moat for the business. If people can be bothered to produce 5 pieces of content around that topic, for example, then that's great. But actually, producing 30 means that we've covered everything. But also in Google's mind, we are the authority. Like, there isn't anyone out there who is covering that topic as deeply as we are as the client. And therefore, we've created our own authority. We've created our own domain rating, if you will, our content hub rating. And actually, those pieces of content linking together will generate a substantial amount of traffic, and therefore leads if it's a...
So when you're looking at creating these, I mean, say with that case, it was 30. Is it the kind of thing where it's kind of very much going to be led by the topic itself and how far you niche it down when you're making these things? Because you hear some people say, oh, you should do X numbers of posts per week with, X, with 500 words or 1,000 words each. I mean, to me, that's kind of like nonsense.
Yes.
There's no hard and fast rule as far as I could see. Is that what you find in your experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the things we're keen to do up front with any client that we're thinking of working with is we produce an SEO audit. And in that SEO audit, we understand what the competitors are doing. And that can be as simple as your competition have produced 1,000 blog posts, or they've got 1,000 URLs indexed on this particular topic. So you've got 2. Is there any wonder that they are outranking you and are bigger in terms of not just search volume, but bigger in terms of revenue and money that they're making? And I think the toughest question that we always get is, right, well, if we need to produce those 1,000 pieces of content, what length do they all have to be? Do they have to be really long form content or short form content? And it's the age old SEO saying of, it depends. It all depends on that topic. Like there could be one question that gets asked where the answer is a sentence long. Now, if the answer is a sentence long, Google isn't that stupid to be putting like a massive piece of content in front of that person and not understanding those user signals. So if you can answer it within a sentence, answer it within a sentence. Maybe add it to an FAQ page or something like that where Google can pick up on it. But then also you've got the top level topics, or the parent topics, if you use things like Ahrefs, for example, where that needs explaining. It needs a big guide. It needs a really in-depth piece of content. And that could be, depending on how competitive that industry sector is, that could be thousands and thousands of words long, covering every topic within that. And one thing in particular that we get asked, and we get asked a lot recently, because we started working with some international based businesses now in sort of sales and sales enablement and things like that. And one of the questions that we get asked, they've worked with other SEO firms in the past, and they have sort of given them that framework of, well, this needs to be this long and that needs to be that long. And I'm like, no, just answer the question as you think it needs to be answered. And if you think there's stuff that's relevant to it, then add that in. Don't make it short because we've told you it needs to be short. And don't make it long because we've told you it needs to be long. You're the expert. You're the subject matter expert on it. Make sure you're explaining it as you would to a client face to face within your piece of content or within your video. So no is, I suppose, the short answer to that.
You may be fresh in a niche, or you may be been there for a while, but not really where you want to be.
Yeah.
Obviously, what's your top tips for competitor research? I mean, when you go out, do you look at just like sheer numbers of pages, how much pages of content they've got, or do you look at the kind of the spread that they're covering? What when you're doing that competitor research, what are the kind of the metrics you're looking at?
I think the first thing we look at is estimated search volume or search traffic. So we have a lot of clients that are prospects that come to us with a list of their competitors. Now, if they're an old industry and they've been around a long time, those competitors are generally not their online competitors. So the first thing we'll do is start to look for, I look at their offline competitors and those people that they've given us, but also look for these sorts of keywords and terms that we think they should be showing up for. And we start to then go down the rabbit hole of, these guys are your organic or your online competitors. These are the guys that are competing on these keywords and these keywords. And from there, we can paint a picture of exactly what's going on. You can then build out an understanding of which hubs they're creating, what content they're writing about, which ones are actually doing very well. There's nothing better in my mind than finding a competitor website that is ranking for loads of search or organic search, but it's one piece of content that's doing it. There's such a massive opportunity there. If that one piece of content is getting thousands of different keywords and loads of traffic, then we can break that down and turn it into a proper content hub where it all links together and it all becomes this big, interlinking hub and does it from there. And I think that's the main key to it. If you're starting from scratch and you haven't got anything, let's say it's a brand new industry, for example, the best way to do that is to actually sit down and brainstorm and think, what would my client be looking for? And going from there, you can start then with your seed keywords, and you can start to understand which keywords you would search for if you were looking for your product. From that, obviously, there's lots of tools out there that can help you find what people are actually then putting into Google and moving forward. And another really good one, if I'm being brutally honest, is Google Ads. Right. if you, I mean, Google's AI is helping SEO even more these days because all you have to do is put a URL in. Google AI takes it away and goes, well, we're going to spend this much money of yours on all these different keywords that might not actually bring conversion based or commercially intent driven traffic. But what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves money. Well, when you look at the search reports within that, even if you run it for a month, 2 months or whatever, actually you can use that as part of your SEO strategy because Google will know what it wants to show to those people and they'll charge you for that privilege. But that can help build your SEO keywords and your actual approach.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting. So if you were, say you've got a scenario where you've got someone comes on to you and says, I want to get into this industry, let's say broadband, for example. Yeah. And they've got nothing. Okay. But it's really competitive. It's really competitive, but they want to give it a go and they haven't got a massive budget. They can't just go and immediately dominate the whole sphere, but they wanted to get started. What would your advice be to someone like that?
Work out. So from the outside inwards. So think a lot of people will automatically go, right, I want to try and rank for best broadband provider.
Mhm.
Well, you've got zero chance of that from a standing start.
Mhm.
So the main piece of advice would be to look at really, really, really long tail keywords
Mhm.
and ones you're potentially going to be able to rank for, building that hub inwards. And I think it's really important to utilize Google Search Console when doing something like that. Because once you've got a couple of pieces of content indexed and they start to show impressions, you can then start to see what sort of terms you are able to rank for. And you can start working it out from there. And I would just recommend that people don't go for the obvious search terms. The research is key in that scenario, which is what keywords are people looking for that are maybe even less than 10 searches a month, that type of stuff. Really low competition, and build it up from there, because you're also going to build that content hub and that topical authority that we sort of term all the time. Once you've started building that topical authority in the lower stuff, you can then start to build the bigger ones and the more competitive search terms in content around that, and start to interlink from the less competitive search terms into that bigger picture, if you will, and the harder terms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's actually completely music to my ears, I've got to say. I've discussed this beforehand in terms of what kind of things Matt was going to suggest, but this is stuff that I've been talking about for quite a long time, and a lot of the stuff we do at Keywords People use it is around that kind of idea of you start from the bottom and you work, you nibble into it essentially. So rather than going for the big head terms to start with where you got no chance, it's to nibble away at the bottom, start to get something ranking low, and then go and look at that Search Console data and see what you're starting to get visibility for. Even if you're not ranking for it, not getting clicks right away, if you're just getting some search visibility, that's the stuff where Google's starting to say, actually, we think you're about this. We think this is you. And if you can then reinforce that by altering the content, creating new content around those areas to boost that visibility, that's the kind of thing, and that's the kind of thing we've been putting into our tools. So it's really, really interesting to hear you could accidentally completely concur with the kind of thing I'm saying.
Yes, no, it's 100%.
Yeah. So when it comes to, it's an interesting thing here around this topical authority point is, I mean, you've kind of sort of mentioned it in passing, and that's, you talk about content hubs. So if someone didn't know what a content hub was, how would you describe that? What are the components that put it together, and how do they kind of link in with each other?
Yeah. So let's say you wanted to rank for, God, I can't think of a topic. But let's say you wanted to rank for asbestos surveys, right? So you basically providing asbestos surveys to businesses, and the asbestos surveys as a keyword is really, really competitive. You want to be answering a lot of the different questions that people have, like, why do I need one? What is it? How long will it take? How much does it cost? Who's the best supplier in my area? Those sorts of things. So that would be a relatively small content hub in our eyes. So you'd be talking 5 or 6 pieces of content there that all then link into that main asbestos survey service page. And then that builds a little hub. From there, we use data. So we then sort of analyze those pages, see what they're ranking for, see what they're showing up for on Google. Bing as well. Bing is growing, although relatively slowly. But it is growing, and I think that utilizing both Bing Webmaster Tools and Google Search Console to then think about what the next stage is in that content journey is really important. And also, how do people get to the point where they know what an asbestos survey is? Like the top of that sales funnel is just a massive list of problems. So what are the problems that people come across to then get to that next stage where they understand that they need an asbestos survey?
So with this, because the terminology around building these kind of content hubs, there seems to be quite a lot of it. Some people will talk about pillar pages and then sub pages, and some people talk about hub pages and spoke pages. So as probably the best way to describe it is, with all of these clusters you're creating, you'll always have like one kind of core master page, essentially. The page that is, I suppose, the core of the topic, and then around that page you'll have other pages that are kind of like the subtopics of that topic. So they will talk about the sort of the subtopics individually, and then you link between them, so you can give contextual link authority from the subpages to the pillar page, essentially, or the hub page. And then within that, you can actually then have those hub pages be spokes of other hub pages.
Yeah.
So you can create a content pyramid, essentially. That's how.
Yes.
That's how. In a lot, it just depends how much content you've got and how many different areas you can break it down to.
Yeah. Yeah, and some topics you can go on forever building these, the hub and spoke effect. Other areas you're going to be stuck because there's not as much content that you can be producing. Like some mortgages. I mean, a mortgage broker, people still search, believe it or not, for a mortgage is a mortgage, right? People will still search for a mortgage for a dentist, or mortgage for a solicitor, or mortgage for NHS worker. And you're like, right, well, it's the same product you're being sold, but actually someone's just badging it differently, or they're actually searching for it differently, thinking they're going to get some extra discount or whatever it is, or it's a better way of getting that mortgage. But they're all the same product. And so, by creating all those pages that all lead into that overall service of providing you a mortgage, that's a really good example of a hub and spoke. The main pillar page, like you're saying, is the mortgage service. Like, this is us mortgage brokers. We will help you get a mortgage. But then all that other stuff, it circles around it and links directly into that one core service of mortgages.
Yeah. No, interesting. So when you're creating these pages for your clients, are you concentrating with these pages? Is it all about traffic, or is it about conversions, or is it, like I say, what I'm thinking is obviously every business will have those pages where they're trying to get someone to become a customer or convert in some way, be it to sign up for an email or sign up for a lead magnet, that kind of thing, or actually purchase a product.
Yeah.
Will you always have that kind of sales message on some of the content pages you create, or sometimes is it just pure content to support those pages higher up that have that they're sort of like what they're, I hate the word, but they're money pages, as some people call them.
Yeah. So it's bringing them through the sales funnel, right? So, you've got people right at the top of that funnel that have got problems, and they don't know that, they need a particular product or service to sort that problem out. And creating the topics right at the top of that funnel will just get them onto your site. And I also think that it's really important that we don't, as sort of SEO professionals or whatever, we don't just single out our own channel of organic search. We work with quite a large plumbing firm, and the amount of content right at the top of the funnel for plumbing service, my boiler error code is this boiler's not working. I've got no hot water. My radiators are whistling. All these pieces of content, actually, they can precede needing a new boiler or needing a boiler service. And as such, we can get traffic right at the top of that sales funnel. And if we're utilizing things like tracking pixels, so Google Ads tracking pixels, Meta tracking pixels, LinkedIn tracking pixels, content is not necessarily going to help people convert right there and then. Using remarketing, we can bring them back in. So actually, the original source of that lead might have been an organic search blog post 6 months ago. They've come back via an ad on Google that we've shown to them because they've already been on our site. They've got some brand affinity. Or we can remarket to them further down the line and they'll come back that way. And that all started from organic search, right? So these pages are so valuable when it comes to what people are looking for and how they understand who you are, how they find you. And then you can do all sorts of things with that traffic, even if they do leave your site.
Yeah, no, I like that remarketing. That's a neat strategy. That is that they come to get an answer to a question, and they just want that answer. They don't want to really become a customer at that point. But that content, people who are consuming that kind of content, they're going to have a problem down the line. And if you can maintain that relationship just by saying, by remarketing to them via whatever platform, that's really, really smart, especially for something like boilers, which are not a cheap thing to replace.
Yeah.
So there's a potential big win down there for your customer at the end of the day, isn't there? So that's I've never heard someone suggest that as something they're doing with their content. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a tough sell. I think that's the problem. Like telling your client, right, I'm going to create this piece of content. It's going to take us like a day to create, and then in 6 months you might get a client from it. Well, oh, right, okay. But I think we all have to be a bit more honest, transparent, and open about how quick these people are going to see the benefit from the work that we're doing. And one of the core areas that we're trying to expand what Tau do is we spend that much time researching what potential clients are looking for, and we've always sort of, up until maybe 6-12 months ago, what we've always done is we tried creating organic search content, and then we'll say, right, in 12 months you might get a visitor on that, and they might turn into a customer. Well, there's so many other channels that can help promote content. So if we know that we've got impressions in Google Search Console, but it's going to take a couple of months, 6 months, 12 months for that content to start generating any search traffic onto the site, why are we not trying to help that client in pushing that content in front of the people that need it, that might not have searched for it or might not see it until it is on page 1 of Google? So we already know that people are interested in that topic. So that is another area where content hubs are really, really valuable. And honestly, when you get, millions upon millions of impressions in Google Search Console, then you can start to do some really cool things, and you start to see some search trends in that you would have never, ever thought of to do with the topic that you're working on.
So are you using any particular tools for analysing that data? If you're getting that amount of data in Search Console, is there any kind of tools you're using for getting those insights out?
Not really at the moment. We're using things like Looker Data Studio to try and understand how a hub is performing. So if we're producing a hub around a particular brand, for example, we'll build a dashboard, just looks at those pages and brings that information into Google Data Studio or Looker Studio, whatever it's called this week. And we'll try and analyze it that way. One of the things we are looking at building and trying to work into this whole sort of ecosystem is putting machine learning or AI on top of that data and then interrogating that data. So rather than us being a bloody Python expert or SQL expert and being able to query databases and stuff, it opens up a huge opportunity for us to start querying that data with AI. And so in the background, I am working on at the moment to try and understand how we can speed that process up. But it's quite a time-consuming thing at the moment.
Yeah, well, when you've got something you've built, are you trying to build a tool you're trying to build to sort of make available to other people as well, or would that just be an internal tool?
It's a really good question. I've never built any tools that I've ever thought of sort of making available to other people, but I don't see why not.
Yeah, well, if you get that far along, you've got something to share with people, and you want to get the word out, let us know, and we'll get you on, and you can talk all about it when you've built it. So
great.
Do that. Yeah.
I've got some ideas. I'll keep them close to my chest at the moment, but I've got some ideas on how we can use that and use AI to really drive that efficiency. Yeah.
I mean, AI is big at the moment. There's so many potential possibilities for things that could be done at the moment, and I know. I have to see if I think is it all hype? Is this the next .com bubble? Because I remember it wasn't that long ago when everyone was talking about was it Web? Did they call it Web3? Everything was going to be on
Web
the blockchain.
Yeah,
Web3. Everything was going to be on the blockchain. I remember thinking at the time then, I don't get it. It all seems hype. Whereas with AI, it's not actually. It's not hype. There is a lot of hype around it, but there's also a lot of truth there. There's a lot of things that AI can actually do. So
yes,
and it can be a lot more complicated than to get AI stuff out than it seems. We've experimented a lot and we try a lot of things, but we're not always completely there yet, but
Yeah.
a lot is happening. Just trying to think if we've got any other questions around topical authority. Probably do you use any kind of clustering? So when you're trying to find keywords, questions that you trying to incorporate them into hubs and clusters, do you use any kind of like clustering software or clustering methodology to help you work out what content should be in what hubs?
So yes, we are using tools like that, and they certainly helps us build the content strategies out, but we also throw quite a lot of human knowledge on top of that.
Yeah, I'd agree that. I mean, because we have a clustering functionality in keywords people use. We use we take a big list of keywords and questions, and we go to Google organic results and we Google it and we get the top 10 results for all of them, and then we combine all those results into one and we look for where they have links in common, and we can decide we can set a parameter. Is it 3 links in common means they're clustered, or is it 4 or 5? And we can visualize it, and it will give us individual clusters. But it still needs human intuition to work out what clusters go with what hubs and whether a cluster needs to be broken down. We've tried using AI to answer that question, and sometimes it gives good answers and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it misses things. So I'm still very much of the opinion that while you can use those tools, and I always say to people to use our clustering, this will get you to a certain point. After that, you have to have intuition. There isn't a button you can just press to put in a C keyword, press one button, and then you'll get everything all worked out for you. This is exactly what you should build, and this is the content you should put in it. That is going to perform as well or anywhere near as well as proper human intuition led stuff with support from the right tools, but that intuition's still got to be there.
I think it just speeds it all up, doesn't it? I think that is the key to any of these tools. And I also often worry that if any of these tools actually do get to the point where they can replicate what we do, well then either we're all going to be rich or we're all really poor, because everyone's going to be doing the same thing.
or all the content is going to become soup.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing I find, obviously working a lot with AI, and I use ChatGPT all the time. I spent all morning with ChatGPT trying to work out a mapping problem. I'm trying to reverse engineer a mapping system so I can get data out of it. And ChatGPT has been amazing for that. But what I find that they're not good at, obviously, is what it's called information gain, isn't it? Creating something new. They can only work with what they've seen before.
Yeah.
They can't come up with something new. They can be prompted by humans to come up with something new, and human prompting can help a human create something new faster. But I'm yet to see them be creative in their own right, and whether that's something they'll ever get to. I mean, it moves so fast nowadays. It's hard to make predictions, and I wouldn't want to make predictions. Because I remember when ChatGPT first came out, not only a couple of years ago, and thinking, "Oh, this is just rubbish," because it was rubbish when it first came out. When it is, it improves month by month. So who knows what it's going to say? But we're still hopefully there'll still be a use for humans for a while yet.
I hope
some
so.
of us, anyway.
I just keep getting reminded of the film WALL-E, where they're all just like slobs in fly around seats. And you're like, right, are we heading in that direction? Elon Musk as the captain of the ship, keeping the plant away.
Well, who knows? Who knows? It's going to be interesting to look back in a few years' time and see how things have changed. But well, I mean, I think that's covered everything I wanted to cover today. If people want to get in touch with you, Matt, if they're looking for help with creating content, or they just want to have a chat, I want to talk about topical authority or anything at all, how can you help people, and how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I think the two quickest ways are obviously our website, which is tailordigitalmarketing.com, or LinkedIn. So just find us on LinkedIn, Matt Tomkin on there, and find me a message. I'm on LinkedIn a lot more than I used to be now. So I think I'll definitely come back to people.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I'll make sure I put all those links in the show notes as well, so if people want to find it, because Tau Digital, I could probably think of a million ways to spell that. So I'll make sure I get it right, put it in the show notes that we're there for you. So I'll just say thanks for coming on, Matt. Lovely to have you on.
No, really appreciate the invite. And thanks.
No problem. Take care. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I mean, topical authority is a SEO topic that I'm really, really passionate about. I mean, I've seen it work over the years, how that if you just really cover the questions that people want to ask on your topic area, it will work. And it's great to hear, have not just me saying that, but have Matt come in and show how he's actually helped it for his clients, and how that's worked for them so well. It's all the same kind of basic principles that we talk about when it comes to keywords people use. That is all based around this principle of topical authority and how we can mine those questions, organize those questions, and then create content around those questions and cover that entire topic area to give you that topical authority, which will bring you long-term growth in Google. It will help you rank for all sorts of keywords that you don't even think of to start with, just because you start at the bottom and build up. And that's what this is all about, building these hubs. So yeah, it's really, really cool to hear Matt's experience with that and how it's working for him and his clients. So that's it for the rest of today. So until next time, remember, keep optimizing, stay curious, and remember, SEO is not that hard when you understand the basics. Thanks for listening. It means a lot to me. This is where I get to remind you where you can connect with me and my SEO tools and services. You can find links to all the links I mentioned here in the show notes. Just remember, with all these places where I use my name, the Ed is spelled with 2 Ds. You can find me on LinkedIn and Blue Sky. Just search for Ed Dawson on both. You can record a voice question to get answered on the podcast. The link is in the show notes. You can try our SEO intelligence platform, Keywords People Use, at keywordspeopleuse.com, where we can help you discover the questions and keywords people are asking online, cluster those questions and keywords into related groups so you know what content you need to build topical authority, and finally, connect your Google Search Console account for your sites so we can crawl and understand your actual content, find what keywords you rank for, and then help you optimize and continually refine your content with targeted, personalized advice. Keep your traffic growing. If you're interested in learning more about me personally or looking for dedicated consulting advice, then visit www.eddawson.com. Bye for now, and see you in the next episode of SEO is Not That Hard.